Hello. Welcome to the 18th part of the Solo Max level newbie. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that Amulum says, then, let's see what kind of power your blood possesses. He activates a blood explosion. Blood on Jinhyuk's cheek explodes. A big blood explosion happens. A lot of rubble goes flying. Amulum sees something. Jinhyuk is standing in the middle of the smoke. Jinhyuk is unharmed and says, "Good thing I dodged that in time. I would have been holding hands with the Reaper had I not." Amulum is really surprised and thinks, "What? I've never seen it explode like that before. Is there something about his blood other than the sweet smell it has?" Jinhyuk removes his jacket and says, "Hey, are you trying to kill me? I thought you wanted to get the Dragon Slayer's sword." Amulum says, "It's none of your business about how I obtained the Dragon Slayer's sword. However, I have a different reason for coming to see you. The criminal who I sealed a long time ago, who's currently hiding in your ring. I've come to take Alice back." Jinhyuk says, "A criminal? I don't know what you're talking about." Amulum angry and says, "Are you taking me for a fool right now? I saw you manifest Alice on the 7th floor." Jinhyuk is acting like a dumb boy. He says, "I can't hear well because of that explosion earlier." Some blood drops appears around Jinhyuk. Amulum says, "Cut the bullshit, or I will kill you. Summon the vampire you're hiding, right now." Jinhyuk says, "I can finally hear. I can call forth my vampire." Jinhyuk says, "Come on out. Don't be shy." Ophelia gets there. Amulum is surprised and says, "Ophelia? Why did you just step up?" She is really scared. We see a flashback where Amulum says, "Is that true, Ophelia? That Kong Jinhyuk is searching for Bamong on the 21st floor?" She says, "Yes, sir. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. I've checked that he's employed a mysterious explorer who can find the Bamong." He says, "Oh, I see. Well done. Go rest. This might be your chance to recover your honor." Someone comes there and says, "Ophelia." Her brank of tribulation gets activated. She hears someone say, "Bring it back, Ophelia. The forgotten holy relic of the Decasus household. The apostate's bracelet." Amulum is really surprised and thinks, "Why is that on her wrist?" System says, attempting to undo the seal on the apostate's bracelet. Apostata's bracelet has been confirmed. User's identity as the bloodline of the Decasus household has been confirmed. Time remaining until unlocking the seal. 10 minutes. Amulum tries to grab the apostate's bracelet and says, "What are you doing, Ophelia?" Jinhyuk activates a band of tribulation. She brings out her sword. System says, "Do not let anyone else take the apostate's bracelet until the seal is broken no matter what. Attack anyone who tries to take it away from you." She attacks Amulum and screams no. Amulum blocks her attack. She says, "I apologize, sir. I didn't do that on purpose." Amulum is really angry and says, "You dare put your hand on me, the patriarch?" She is crying and thinks, "I'm dead." He jumps toward her to attack and says, "Ophelia, so you have chosen to betray us." Amulum is really angry and uses a really powerful attack. A really big explosion happens. Jinhyuk activates the Sword Demon King's steps and saves her. She says, "Why did you save me?" Jinhyuk says, "I told you. You need to serve me for eternity. The seal's not broken yet either." Jinhyuk throws her away. Jinhyuk smiles and says, "So, what will you do now, Amulum?" "Ophelia wants to be my subordinate. You should have taken better care of your subordinates when you had the chance." Amulum is really angry and a lot of blood is floating around him. He says, "I will make sure that you can never speak another arrogant statement again." Amulum appears in front of Jinhyuk, ready to kick him. Jinhyuk is standing still without moving an inch. Amulum used transfer to appears in front of Jinhyuk really fast. Jinhyuk goes flying and hit the roof. Amulum uses blood alchemy. Bloodhound. Jinhyuk activates the tomb's right arm. Jinhyuk destroyed his attack with a punch. Amulum jumps toward him and uses blood explosion. Jinhyuk activates the Sword Demon King's steps. They both start to fight, hitting each other with powerful attacks. Ophelia is barely hanging on because the shockwaves are too strong. She is really surprised and thinks, This cannot be. This battle is on a whole other dimension than the one against Michael. Ancient Dragon appears there, and the fire spirit is also fighting the other vampires. She says, "You want me to go there and wait for my turn?" Amulum is sliding Jinhyuk against the wall. Amulum says, "You have certainly surprised me. I didn't expect that you would be able to use the Tombrid's right arm. However, no matter how much you try, the most you can do is leave a small scratch." Amulum had a scratch on his face. Jinhyuk says, "You're greatly misunderstanding one thing, Amulum." He says, "Misunderstanding? That little scratch that you have is all I need to do. Is all I need to do." T-Bone says, "Master, it's complete." Amulum is really surprised and says, "Wait, this is..." System says, "The tower's suppression power has been weakened. The upper limit of power will be unlocked up to 20%. Jinhyuk activates a 4-star barrier, present world restraints, breaking the seal of the apostate's bracelet. Ophelia takes off the bracelet and thinks, "Whatever. At this point, there is no home for me to return to anymore." She throws the bracelet toward Jinhyuk. Jinhyuk catches it. System says, "You need the user's blood in order to break the seal spell." Jinhyuk drops his blood on the bracelet. Amulum is really angry and says, "Die." He uses a blood explosion. System says, "The owner of the blood has been confirmed." The Decasis seal over Alice von Ataraxia has been broken. She appears in middle of them. She says, "I am Alice von Ataraxia, the head of the Ataraxias. In the name of the matriarch, I shall punish you for your past sins." After that, we see a flashback where Alice says, "You're going to lure the Decasis now?" She is biting her nails and says, "While I like the idea of getting revenge, I don't have my full power back yet. And I shouldn't say this, but you're not strong enough to win against him yet." Jinhyuk puts his hand on her head and says, "This is a good chance for you, Alice. Consider it a rare opportunity to lure them to the middle floors for quiet elimination." She says, "But this plan puts you in danger." Jinhyuk smiles and says, "Don't worry, I've made arrangements for that. Plus, didn't I promise you that I would make sure to help you get your revenge?" She is standing in front of Jinhyuk. Jinhyuk is bleeding from his head and he says, "Why are you looking at me like that? Go, get your revenge." She gets really excited and says, "Right, I should." All the vampires are really scared to see her and says, "It's Ataraxia. The Empress of Pure Blood of Ataraxia has undone the seal." Amulum kills the scared vampires and says, "How dare you traitors speak her noble name? You all deserve death." Amulum is really frustrated and angry. Have used a blood bullet. She easily blocks the bullets. Amulum activates blood alchemy. A blood sword appears in his hand. He attacks Alice. Alice easily blocks his attack. She activates blood road. She says, "It's been a while, Amulum, but I still find it hard to believe that when all the patriarchs turned their backs on me, because I disagreed with the proposal to expand your influence, you still sided with me throughout the whole thing, and that after doing all that, you betrayed me." Amulum coughs out blood. She is really angry and says, "I cannot forgive you." Amulum activates an exclusive skill, Red Coffin. System says, confining the target with barriers of blood. Amulum says, "I believed a Blanche power system in the tower would benefit Outkind, but in the end, you chose the tower over us. You were considered the era's most powerful vampire. You turned your back on your future with the excuse to maintain a balance." System says, condensing time and space. He says, "If you are going to fail us once again, I am willing to seal you as often as it takes." She gets trapped in a red coffin. Ophelia is really scared and Jinhyuk is drinking a position. She says, "Damn it. Is it over for me?" Jinhyuk says, "What are you talking about? Alice is the most powerful vampire there is." She breaks the coffin and a really big explosion happens. Amulum is surprised. Mysterious Explorer is really excited to see the fight and says, "This is what I've heard of in the legends." Alice activates the divine exclusive skill, Revelations of the World's Creation. She is really beautiful and black on her head and back. She looks really cool. She activates Combat Mode Empress of Pure Blood. Amulum is really surprised and thinks the restriction has been weakened enough for her to activate her divine exclusive skill. She destroys him. She says, "Thanks for saying that. Now I won't hesitate." He activates super regeneration. He is trying to run and thinks, I can't even react to her speed. She hits him in the back. He goes flying really fast and hits the ground. Jinhyuk says, Alice, I'll leave him to you. I'm going to take out the bomb. Alice says, don't worry about it. I'm not satisfied dealing with him yet. Jinhyuk starts to combine skill. He says, Pashan Mountain Smoke Tree Bark. Melmerman Clinic's Ointment. Combining. System says, you have obtained unidentified liquid. Using unidentified liquid, resistance to poison will be increased by 50% for 5 minutes. Activating 1,000 poisons. Resistance to poison will be increased by 50%. Vampire says, stop that human. He's headed toward the bomb. System says, users will lose 11% of the total HP every second due to the poison's effects. All the vampires start to cough out blood. They use blood attacks. Ophelia starts to kill them. One of them says, were you not the Decasus Hound? Didn't you see Miss Alice fighting? I don't side with losers. Bleeding effect activated due to poison. Movement speed will be decreased by 5% every second due to the effects of the poison. Jinhyuk is bleeding a lot and says, this poison sure is intense. So, let's take it. In one try, Jinhyuk activated the Blessing of the Stars. And he also uses Dark Heavenly Demon Emperor Arts. System says, vision impaired due to the effects of the poison. The mana paths have been disrupted due to the effects of the poison. Fafner's resentment has fallen into an eternal slumber. All curses of the poison have vanished. Everyone is looking toward him. Alice also sees him. Jinhyuk is holding the Dragon Slayer's sword bomb. Amulam says, I was adamant in thinking that despite the poison, that human would be able to take out the bomb. Amulam activates transfer and appears behind Jinhyuk and says, I was right. The 18th part of the Solo Max level newbie ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching.